Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Cup of the Day podcast. We're back again, nearing to that 20 mark. We're nearly at 20 episodes. We've been going quite a while now, which is quite nice. And yeah, keeping up the consistency and the consistent guests as well, and a consistent, appearance to my left is Jorday.
Hello, and hello everyone in the stream as well. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was at work today. I was thinking, episode 17. Literally, we've almost done like half a year of Cuppa, so it doesn't feel like we've been doing it so long. It's gone quite fast, but I've enjoyed every part of it.
Yeah, there's been many different faces have appeared on the podcast, whether it be guests, whether it be hosts, but the viewers are consistent, which is really nice to see, and people seem to enjoy the show as a whole. And yeah, we won't keep our guest today waiting any longer. We say this every time, but they need no introduction. Our guest today is the Kacky god himself. It is Tekky.
Hello, first time
Welcome.
here. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful podcast. Now you can see my beautiful face on the stream as well. No camera whatsoever.
No, that
Yeah.
that is camera. You're just very still.
I look very beautiful.
You're driving whilst doing the podcast, which is impressive.
Wherever I go, I drive. I just gotta be ready.
And
Kacky
that
in
is-
real life already.
That is something we do actually want to say, because you said it on stream and I said it to you before we went live, is that you are playing whilst we are doing the podcast. Is that right?
Currently, I'm trying to stay away from that. Actually, listen to people, because sometimes I'm in the voice chat in my Discord with a lot of people. I just ignore them. What do they do? What do they speak about? I'm just in my own zone. I just drive and just focus on my own thing. So today we're just staying away from that.
I would have
Yeah.
thought with Kacky, like it's so autopilot, you could just do it in the background and talk and not put much thought, put a lot of thought into it, really.
Nah, multitasking is difficult nowadays for me.
Yeah, that's not how you get a first place in Kacky.
Yeah.
And Tekky knows a good bit about that. But before we delve into anything, I guess, related to Kacky or more than that, I wanted to start off by just getting some sort of background about you. You know, obviously your name is quite well known nowadays within the game. But back in the day, how did you actually get into Trackmania? What was your in?
So it started all the way back in 2013, where my friend introduced me to the game, and my friend was literally living next to me, like 2 steps away in the flat, in the building. So I used to go to his place. He showed me this one game, Trackmania Nations Forever, and it looked interesting. Where we used to battle a lot on his laptop against each other on the hot seat mode, and I just said, "Yo, hit me up, get me the game. I wanna play as well." And since then, I'm just every day playing, having fun still, and we'll see for how long this will go. But I've been mostly playing LoL map since that day, ever since day one.
And there hasn't been any breaks or anything since 2013, has there?
One major break I had from Trackmania was in 2016, where I still played Nadeo game. It was Shootmania though. I played Shootmania for about a year, and then the Mania Planet 4 update came out. That's where everything went down the hill. I couldn't play the game, and I just had to go back to TMNF. That's what Windows XP causes back then. It was quite a struggle.
A lot of people call it the dark days of Trackmania, and yeah, often, I mean, when we ask our guests these questions, like myself and Jorday are quite relative newbies to the game compared to a lot of people like you who started in the early 2010s, and it's kind of interesting to see, you know, kind of get a glimpse into what the game was like back in that era and what the community was like, because it was much smaller than it is nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
And you mentioned that you played a lot of LoL, and I mean, that is going to be one of the major topics that we're going to talk about today. What was it that drew you to that style specifically?
Well, compared to most of the new players that go to just full speed, you don't have to do a lot. I was having the most fun just experimenting and figuring out new tricks, just playing something that's not normal in a racing game. And LoL maps were exactly that. Also, the other kind of style I was going for was cuts. And even up to this day, I like to just search for shortcuts. And let's say just 2013, 2014, that was already my prime time of whenever I see a map, just search for the cut. Just find something that's not normal and go with it.
Did you ever get into fastest way only?
Nah,
That's the only cut team I know.
Unfortunately not, but I had big inspiration from Fastest Way Only. But I did join to like 5 or 6 teams in TMNF. It was quite hectic back. It started in 2015, and then even up to this day, I still have maybe 4 or 5 teams that I'm in. Dot cut, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's crazy to me. Like every time, I don't really play much LoL at all, really. But the times I have played it, the thing for me is how on earth do I keep it from getting tedious or stale? Let's say you're on a server and you're on the same map 15 minutes. After about 5 minutes, I really struggle to, not get bored of doing this, trying to go for the same trick. Like I guess I'm not patient enough. Obviously you've been playing it for almost 10 years now. What is it that keeps it from, that keeps it interesting and stops it from being so stale?
It's just something that LoL maps have in their maps. It's always something unique, not something you don't see regularly. Like if you have Cuppa of the days, what do? You pretty much do drifts, left, right. That's it. LoL maps, they have jumps. They have I don't know, Uber bugs, whatever you can think of, any kind of bug that the game gives us. And it's just I don't know, when you have your small community in that game, you just hang out with them. You don't really think about what you're gonna do. You just chat with them, say most wild stuff in the chat, and just have fun and laugh at each other.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges I guess a lot of people find with sort of LOL and Kacky and those sorts of things is, I guess, having the patience. Obviously you have that goal of finishing the map, and often that is the main objective of any sort of LOL or Kacky map. And I think, yeah, that's what a lot of people struggle with. But you also delved into another style that we've spoken about a bit on the podcast, which is RPG. Am I right in saying?
Yes, I don't really hunt RPGs a lot. I like to build the maps and discovering them, of course. Hunting them, that's just another level that I can't really keep up with.
Yeah, because in preparation for this episode, I went on your TMX page to look at what maps you have uploaded, and it's an interesting journey going through that page.
There's a lot of stuff happening there.
There's a lot of stuff. I guess first question before we get into any of the serious stuff, what the hell is I don't mind ruining your day, and why did you make these maps?
So it's something that Damel, a friend of mine in the Discord, he said he had this great idea of starting this series where we just make the most there is the chat. Make the most annoying maps that people hate, where the main goal is to ruin people's random map challenge, random map survival runs. I joined the dark side, but I'm sorry.
So as well as being an avid map cutter, you also want to ruin people's random map challenges as well.
Every now and then. I even ruined my run once, but we don't talk.
So I imagine when you make those maps, you have to validate them yourself as well, or do you use the validation tool?
We try to stay away from the validation tool. Just if you can prove it possible, just go for the finish. Now the maps can be either easy, but with a really hunted outer time, or just something absurd.
Yeah, and just coming back to RPG as a style, you said you enjoy mapping RPG, and it's quite evident when you look through your TMX page. And actually, some quite notable RPGs are on there. And one thing that was quite repetitive as well with these sorts of styles is you collaborate quite often with Simply Nick, or at least you have in the past. I wanted to just ask you about that sort of, I guess, would it be a friendship or a partnership that you have with Simply Nick?
Yeah, I knew Simply Nick for a long, long time, and we are still really, really good friends. And the idea of making Edenic 1 and even Edenic 2 was just something that we both wanted to do. We always wanted to start some kind of a collab together, and I think with this new game, with the options that the game gives us, keeping it still vanilla was the best choice. Now he wants to do a third part as well, but if you look at the maps, they always send some kind of a theme. First one was more of a grass theme. Second one was more of a dirt team, and now if you do a third team, ice. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see the trilogy. I'm curious. Like, I haven't played them myself, but I've watched a few videos on them. The maps are huge. I'm curious, how long did it take to build something like that, route and scenery?
I think it took around a month and a half, 2 months, because we were just constantly. One day I would build something, preferably off stream. He would do his part, then the next day he would do it on stream, and I tend to go for more unique stuff, while Simple Nick goes more for transitional stuff. And he's really, really good mapper. He knows his transitions really good. So that's why we got a little combo of tricks and transitions, combined it into around 8 to 10 minute RPG maps.
Yeah, you've both been mapping for a long, long time, I think. And as you said, the two different styles, I think they pair quite nicely, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to say as well, because you've done a lot of these RPG maps and I guess LoL maps, which is your self-confessed sort of preferred style, and it's quite an uncharacteristic journey compared to a lot of players who might get into the game. A lot of people gravitate towards, as you said, sort of track of the day or competitive. And I wanted to talk about sort of like that sort of competition within like LoL and Kacky, because that is a big part of what you play in the game as well.
Yeah, it's just quite a unique experience to have, like just going from RPG to LoL, not actually focusing on the main styles such as Tech and Dirt. Now about the competitions, I try to play Cuppa Day every now and then, but for something higher up than that, I don't see myself as a consistent player yet. I tend to make a lot of mistakes during these kinds of knockouts, rounds modes. That's why I feel I probably need to, I don't know, start playing Cuppa Day more to get some sort of consistency, or just start learning new styles a bit better. Otherwise, I'm just stuck in between Kacky and RPG.
Yeah, and sorry, go on ahead.
I was gonna say this. Do you find a lot of enjoyment in like normal maps, I guess, rather than the LoL and RPG? Because I do wonder if like the two. It kind of reminds me of the Ice community, right? Like the Ice community is kind of its own thing. They don't really delve outside of Ice. I wonder if that's the same case with like the LoL RPG / Kacky community, whether they kind of solely stick to that because they don't enjoy anything else, or would you say you kind of enjoy everything but prefer the LoL RPG side?
Well, I enjoy everything, but it's like for me, a couple of day maps are something that I rarely play. Even though the map can be really good, I could play it once or twice. Say map is cool, but I have other things to do. So hunting the map is just good enough. I can get the auto time, move on to the next part. About the Kacky side, well, I don't know why I let myself suffer for a month every year. Yeah, and then you also have TMNF Kacky. That's something I try to not play as much as the TM20 Kacky. We also have like this split Kacky community, let's say, and one part prefers TMNF Kacky and the other part prefers TM20.
That's interesting. I would have thought they'd been part of the same group. Really, is there a notable difference between the two?
Probably just the blocks and and the physics, how they correspond to each other. And some people just, of course, don't like the game. Tend to stay in the older one.
Well, we are going to have plenty of time to cover Kacky Reloaded, which is a bit of your speciality, I guess, later on in the podcast. But I did want to touch back just on the RPG aspect, because you were a part of the Deep Dip project, the original one. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and you obviously mapped one of the floors. Then what was it like being part of such a big project, which then like grew immensely, even outside of Trackmania?
Yeah, first it started as just a random project, having the first tower called Bandit for the 8 match checkpoints.
Yeah.
And it was just have some set of rules, and your goal is just to send people down and put as much obstacles that let people not turtle, but still make them fall. And it was like, okay, people like that one. Let's move on to something bigger, something even higher than what we did before. So we started with the deep dip. There was an competition even organized where a couple of mappers, people can build a floor, and then if we like it, they get a spot in the deep dip floor. Now, deep dip got its name from someone who said that in Planet 40, in Planet 40 map, where he quite fell a lot, like 10 floors down. And we liked how he used that name, so we are now also using that too.
Yeah. So inspired by the despair of the player map then.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because recently Deep Dip 2 obviously is in the works, and I've seen, I can't remember if it was Sparkling or somebody asking for a sponsorship from somebody because they wanting to make it even bigger than Deep Dip actually was. I'm not sure if you're involved with the project, but I know that this time around it's done, like you said, through that map submission sort of way of doing it. And it kind of scares me a little bit because Deep Dip was already difficult enough. I can't imagine how much more difficult you can make it without pushing it sort of towards the Kacky side. And I think it was about 32 submissions to the current map submission, which is a bit scary considering the caliber of mappers that were in Deep Dip 1. But did you actually make a map for this edition? Did you submit a map, or were you not too interested?
So I do have a map with quite the interesting scenery, hoping to get some kind of a sponsorship, but with how the things are going, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we have our top 5 best floors picked from what community made. I've tested all of them, found a couple of cuts, but other than that, this floor is gonna be really spicy. This building is gonna be really spicy, and good luck to anyone who's gonna try out that. It's gonna take a long time just to learn the map.
In terms of trying to make it harder, right, is it just simply the length of the map, or are you going to make each floor just more and more difficult?
It's actually gonna be both. It's gonna be, I think, slightly higher, but also the tricks and just the pet finding, there's going to be more of it. So just experiencing, finding everything, it could take much longer just to pass one floor. And I think how we've said in the Discord, the floors are progressively getting harder and harder the more you climb.
Oh my God, that makes. I remember people saying, like, part of me thinks that no one's going to finish Deep Dip 2. But I remember people said the same about the first Deep Dip. And wasn't there a thing, Tekky, that wasn't the map like not beaten before it was released? Like each floor was proven, but nobody beat it in one full go.
Yes. So the main people that Sparkling and others wanted to go for validation were me and Hazard.
Yeah.
I didn't try too much, but I got to like floor 6, floor 7, and then I just said it's enough. I don't want to bother. Hazard put much more effort. He got to like floor 9, floor 10. I don't think he ever validated. He didn't validate because the outer time on that map is actually from me, but with checkpoints. The run with checkpoints.
Right. Okay.
So as you said, it never got validated, but it was proven possible. So we just kept it like that and let people suffer.
That's crazy. Did you think, like, so when Deep Dip first released, did you think anyone was going to finish it? What was your thoughts on that?
I did expect people to finish, but not as fast as they did. I think it took like a week or two, I think.
Yeah, who was the first finisher? Was
Bren.
it Bren?
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy.
remember actually watching that live, and I remember compared to, so I know a lot of people have issues watching Kacky on Twitch, and find that it's a black hole that consumes every Trackmania channel that's waiting for it. But I remember when Deep Dip came out, and for about 2 weeks, everybody was playing the track, whether it be pro players, streamers, casual people. And I remember I followed Bren's stream for like 2 weeks straight, just because watching those sort of like RPG pros like yourself, like Hazard, the like just the car control, everything is so smooth and it's so enjoyable to watch. So I'm wondering, like with Deep Tip 2, is there a sort of planned release date, or maybe a general time period that you might be announcing?
Well, I think the plan is gonna be just like with the last Deep Dip. So around, I think the end of October, start of November, there could be already some more teasers or maybe even a map release. Hopefully, no some sort of delays, but that's the estimated plan for now.
Well, I very much look forward to it, because it's really an impressive project. It's something to be proud of, even if you don't like even play or anything. Just that this is within Trackmania. It's very much just an impressive project.
Yeah,
I see Dansky asking if there's gonna be another snake. Oh, it will be, but I think it's gonna be even worse than.
Is Richie doing the voiceover?
So far, we don't have voiceovers yet.
There's an opportunity there.
We'll see how's that gonna look like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Deep Dip for Twitch, as you said, Babz, is probably for me one of the most enjoyable watching experiences out there, really, for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that people did grind it. And I think the thing that contributed mostly to that was the fact there was a live server, and seeing all the streamers play on the live server, and seeing random streamers fall on another person's stream in front of you. That was brilliant. I loved it. Hopefully, is it good? I'm sure there'll be a live server for Deep Dip 2 as well.
I think we'll plan something like that, yes, because it was just a lot of fun also watching. Also, the viewers, the amount of views that streamers get from just Deep Dip was insane. We never expected that amount of support as well.
Didn't Virtual get like, what was it, like 20 plus K or something crazy?
Yeah,
like that?
he reached, I think, 35K.
Oh, that's crazy.
Being around top 10 streamers all time at that point.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy, and I mean, it's a project that is very similar to Kacky in that sort of sense. It's very much community driven, brings people together to be playing sort of this map or these maps at the same time together and struggle together, I guess. Which is really, really cool to see. And like that streaming aspect, the viewership that it brings. And I've been watching your stream the past few days. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems you get a lot more success, I guess, when Kacky is happening. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Kacky to end so it all goes back.
Because earlier you were, I mean, when I was watching, we were close to 800 viewers, something like that, which is, more than people like Spam, who are, regarded as some of the most popular streamers in the game.
Yeah, I guess it the big number attracts people. That's how it goes. And yesterday was even crazier, so I don't even know how to explain that. It was just huge. Like, first time reaching a 4-digit viewer count without any raise was
It's crazy.
Such a crazy experience to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, people come to watch, who is the person who's winning Kacky, who's performing, it's exactly that. It's a project that brings the community together. There was a funny moment on your stream earlier on where you had the text-to-speech at 500 channel points, which was very, very funny. And then at one point you said, okay, we're going to increase it. And I checked and it went up to 501.
Yeah, tax is growing, man. You gotta step it up a bit.
But another project, aside from streaming, aside from DDIP and Kacky, that you had some success in was the Trial and Error 2 project hosted by Spam, where you got an overall third place. Yeah, it was something really, really cool that I think a lot of people watched on the day and really, really enjoyed. What was your experience of it from a player side?
Well, besides from Checkpoint 7 incident, map was map was really cool. Lots of awesome tricks. And I did find a cut on that one, but anyway. My main goal for that trial was just not to end up in Matt's position. Now, he did win something as well, but just keeping it close to the top somehow, that was my goal. Because I did play a lot of trials before too. In the M2 especially. In the M2 especially, also hunted a lot of trial maps, not just like go for the discovery. And I think, also I played with different resolution back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had that wide Carl Jr. resolution, which it really looks like the pipes are wider. And maybe that kind of stepped me down. Like, I haven't played Trials in a year or so. So playing it with a new resolution was definitely a bigger challenge than usual.
I'm sure stuff like that helps with like setups and whatever it is and whatever the trick is. On the different checkpoints, did you look for setups or did you just kind of like wing it every time?
Well, after reaching the checkpoints, we just look for the routes, see what's happening, get confused by what Simo the monster creates with the vanilla blocks, and then just keep on doing the trial and error until something clicks in your head and says, "Oh, that works. Let's repeat it now."
And how much of that relied on actually looking at what your competitors were doing? You know, obviously, I think initially you had quite a good lead. I think alongside Scandir, I think it was the two of you who were basically neck and neck. And you know, in that position, I guess, you know, the others can be looking at what you're doing once they get to that checkpoint. And then when you're in that position, how much of it actually relies on quickly, let's look at what somebody else is doing so I know what the route actually is?
But that relies a lot because you learn a lot from just watching their perspective, like actually knowing what the route is. Because when you reach the new checkpoint and you're alone, you do waste a lot of time just by knowing, like, where's the checkpoint, where's the path, and the others are of course making some kind of progress in the meantime. And yeah, it was just kind of stressful, gotta say. It was kind of stressful, especially, again, CP7 got stuck there for like 2 hours. And just seeing others arrive to your checkpoint, it was just, oh no, is this the fall? How do we improve now?
Yeah, I guess you get that sort of lead and just seeing it, you know, like just disappear by people just joining your checkpoint and then being able to look at what you're doing is quite demoralizing. And I think, you know, towards the end, there was a good battle between Scandir and Hazard. And I think a lot of people were thinking Scandir was on the last checkpoint and had been trying it for about, you know, 15, 20 minutes. And all Hazard had to do was get to that checkpoint. And there was a real chance, you know, he could take that first spot away. And I guess one of the questions I had for you was, if there is a trial and error 3, you know, do you think there's a chance of challenging Scandir? Because he's looked quite dominant in the trial scene recently.
Honestly, I don't think so. He is too good at everything. So, and I would prefer if maybe the map was a bit easier, something similar to Trial and Error 1. Because it did make a lot of people quit.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't there server issues as well? Or was it people just quitting?
Some people had game crashes, some people just not having it. We had a lot of people still stuck at like CP2, CP3, 4 or 5 hours in. So that part is already really demoralizing for them. After spending so much time just trying to qualify for that spot in the event.
Yeah, imagine exhaustion plays a huge part in that. And as you were talking, the pressure of seeing someone catch up to you and maybe even get ahead of you is probably quite demoralizing. So maybe easy is better. What was the completion time of the Trial and Error 1? Is it a lot faster?
I think it was 1 hour and 1.5 hour.
Okay,
much quicker, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, like you were saying, like these sorts of difficult trial maps on a normal day, you'd only attempt them if you felt like you're mentally up for it and you were motivated to actually finish them. So when you put everybody in a situation where they're competing against someone with that added stress, I guess it can get quite challenging, and you can easily just sort of get demoralized and want to drop out. But I think overall the event was a real success, and I think everybody enjoyed it quite a good bit. So hopefully there will be a trial and error 3 in case Spam is watching.
Spam type 1.
But having said that, we are going to move on to our own little project here, a little tradition that we have on the Cup of the Day podcast that I mentioned briefly to you before we went live. You might have heard me panicking over. But this is going to be the Cup of the Day podcast quiz. Oh, and I guess we'll just head over to the screen and I'll explain when we're there.
Oh, jeepers.
Be in the mud.
All right. So this is the arena. The way this is going to work, actually, I'll explain it once we actually have the graphic up on screen. But if you don't know, Tekky, we do this sort of midway through each episode, a little bit of a quiz to make it a bit more fun. And you are going to be going up against Jorday. I am going to be asking you guys some questions, and basically whoever finishes with the most points at the end gets the W. However, there is a bit of a twist with this one. And you can see I have put a lot of time into this quiz. It is a Kacky themed quiz, I guess, in the format, and I'm going to call it the Kackiest quiz. But the way this is going to work, if you can see on your screen, there is a bit of a table. Now, there are 9 squares, each one corresponding to a number of points. The first row in green, the questions correspond to 1 point, in orange 2 points, and in red 3 points. You both have the opportunity to answer 3 questions. You're going to take it in turns, choosing a square, basically. And whatever question is behind that square, I will ask you, and you will have to give me the correct answer. But be careful, because if you go for a 3-point square and you get it wrong, your opponent has the chance to steal those points. So you need to be a little bit tactical about it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I follow. I'm ready.
Okay, so there is a running theme throughout these questions that we have come up with, myself and Pricey, my wonderful assistant behind the scenes, and the theme is going to be French food.
Wait, I didn't know.
It is not about Trackmania.
I didn't know I need to be smart for this quiz.
Another French-related quiz.
I told you it was better going in blind, because otherwise you'd refuse to take part. Now, 6 of the questions are themed around French food, and 3 of them are themed around Trackmania. So you might get lucky if you get a Trackmania question in there. It might help you a little bit with the knowledge part. And I will say that the questions range from green being the easiest questions and red being the most difficult ones. Okay, if that makes sense to everyone, we are just gonna get into it. I am gonna open up the questions on my screen.
Time to see how dumb I'm.
Man, Tekky, I think we're both in the mid on this one.
All right, thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll just get the correct answers to make sure I don't make any mistakes.
You don't even know the answers yourself?
I made these with Pricey, okay? It's a team effort, and I just need to make sure I'm on the right page.
If you just ask me the authors of these numbers, Kacky numbers you put on the screen, I would have answered everything.
I wanted to make you feel at home, Tekky. I wanted to put the numbers on screen. But anyway, I don't know. Who is feeling up to starting? Who wants to take the first shot?
The guest has got to go first.
Oh, thank you so much. so generous.
All right. So which of the 9 questions tempts you most?
253. Let's start with 1 point.
253. Okay. So I'm sorry to say it is not a Trackmania question. It is about French food, and I need you to tell me what is the commonly used name for a local French bakery? And you have 4 possible answers. Is it A, boulangerie? Is it B, boucherie? Is it C, baguetterie? Or is it C, menuiserie?
Yeah.
Fully, yeah.
I don't know. Let's just go with C, I guess.
C. Baguetterie.
I like
Makes
the
sense.
We all know. We all know the guess. It's gotta be. It's gotta be C.
It's gotta be C, does it?
Obviously C.
Well, unfortunately, you are dans la boue because it is not answer number C, which means that Jorday has the opportunity to steal a 1 point from this question.
Okay.
A, B, or D?
I'm gonna go. A looks the most Frenchy French of all those, so I'm going with A.
Sound reasoning there. So you're going with
You
A?
made it sound really French as well when you said it. It really sold it for me.
I don't know if I should thank you or not. So is A your final answer?
A is my final answer.
A is the correct answer, which means that 1 point goes to you, Jorday.
Okay.
Which means it's a difficult start for Tekky, but it might get even worse. It's Jorday's opportunity. Oh, that is brilliant.
That is really good.
Oh, that is brilliant. Now, Jorday, you have the opportunity to put your face up on that board. Once again.
Is it like bingo? I get 3 in a row?
No. It goes back to Tekky afterwards.
I think we go for the bingo. I'm going to go for 262.
262. You're not picking the Trackmania questions, unfortunately, for you. I need you to tell me, what is the French dish bouillabaisse? Is it A, a baguette covered in garlic butter? Is it B, a classic fish soup with seafood? Is it C, a type of dark chocolate from southern France? Or is it D, a sweet and minty tea?
Wowee. Can you say it one more time?
Bouillabaisse.
God, it sounds nice. It sounds
Mm.
I'm gonna go with it sounds like a fish soup with seafood to me. I'm gonna go with B.
Is that your final answer?
B is my final answer.
And it's an extra 2 points straight out the gate. That is the correct answer. Bouillabaisse is a classic French fish soup with seafood. Congratulations.
He knows the questions.
Maybe I'm French.
I can tell you that he is not a specialist in French. He did another quiz which was on the French language, and it did not go well for Jorday. But that means that it is 3 points to nothing for the moment. Jorday is going for that bingo. Tekky, you need to stop him.
I cannot even answer. How do I catch him?
Oh
Maybe it's time to go for a 3-pointer.
Oh boy. Okay, it's my turn.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just go for the bingo. 272.
272.
No way.
So, this is a Trackmania question. And I need you to tell me, how many trophy points does the player Softy B have?
Oh my god. Oh boy.
And I'm going to give you 4 options that are going to come up on the screen. Is it A, 467,328? Is it B, 512,146? Is it C, 710,984? Or is it D, 793,263?
I knew I knew the answer yesterday.
What?
Alright, if we go by the logic that the D and C are really close to each other, but so are B and A, let's go with C.
C, your final answer?
Not sure.
That is so difficult.
He does play, but he doesn't play a lot. Let's just go with C. I don't know. Final answer.
C is not the correct answer, unfortunately.
Guys, we're going for the 0.
We're going for the clean sweep of 0 points. But Jorday, you have the chance to steal the points on this 3-pointer between A, B, and D. What do you think?
My logic with this is that Softy doesn't play his own game at all. So I'm going to go with A, 467,328.
Oh, Softy has been shafted by Jorday. It is not answer number A. It is actually D. You were hesitating between the two, Tekky. It was answer number D.
I was closer. That's plus 1 point.
You know what? People often say this quiz is rigged. And I think maybe to keep it interesting, I might give you that 1 point.
Wait, whoa, hang on a second.
I'll see what the chat thinks. Should we give Tekky a point? Should we give
That's
Tekky a
rigged.
point?
Hey, that's rigged, man. We can't be doing that.
Matt P says 1 point. Price says 0.5. We always knew it was rigged, so yes, I like that answer, LD. And since you gifted 10 subs earlier on, we're going to go with that. So we are going to give 1 point to Tekky. Congratulations for the sympathy points right there. It means that the bingo cannot be completed. Jorday, it is your third question.
Okay. I'm gonna go with. We'll go for 1 pointer. We'll go with 252.
252. It's a Trackmania question.
Okay.
How many players were there on today's Cup of the Day? And this is considering cross-play.
Okay.
Is it A, 2,917? Is it B, 3,134? Is it C, 3,505? Or is it D, 3,611?
It's gone up, right? Numbers have gone up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be C or D.
Right.
It has. Wait, what day is it today? Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. Do people play Cuppa on a Wednesday? Surely they do.
Did you play Cuppa on this Wednesday?
I didn't. I got back from work just after 6, which is very annoying, but it looked like a good map as well. It was a prof map, wasn't it?
Yep.
Whoa.
It was a proof map.
A proof map.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, same guy. I'm gonna go. Oh man, I'm gonna see. I think 3. Let's go 3611. D.
Tekky was in a similar situation, you know, wondering between C and D. Unfortunately, you've gone wrong.
Oh no.
It's not 3,611. So Tekky, you do have the chance to steal a sneaky point here on this question. Is it A, B, or C?
I'm gonna go for C.
Straight in there. That is a point for Tekky. He closes the gap
Let's go.
to 1 point. Incredible scenes here on the Cup of the Day quiz. And we are heading over to Tekky's last possible question. And if you get this right, you're going to need a 1-pointer to get a draw. You're going to need a 2-pointer to get the win. What are you going to go for?
Let's go for 261.
261. Well, that is quite an interesting question, Tekky, because it's relating to Kacky Reloaded 3.
No,
I need you.
This is rigged, chat. You gotta
It
do
is
something
not
about
rigged.
this.
I wish I could share my screen. It is not rigged. I need you to tell me, what was your average map finish time from Kacky Reloaded 3? Was it A, 13.269? Was it B, 15.293? Was it C, 19.723? Or was it D, 21.687?
I think it's B. 15.293.
Is that your final answer? To win it or lose it?
Yes.
B is the correct answer.
No,
which means
I can't believe it.
Tekky steals it at death. 4-3 is our final score with a correct answer from Tekky.
That is
Incredible
crazy.
drama. Incredible. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible to come back from such a deficit, but here we are.
I can never win on a French quiz.
You heard it here
God.
first. And no external help or anything at all. It definitely was not rigged.
Totally legit. Yeah.
Totally legit, as is every single episode. Thank you both for playing this special edition of the Cuppa quiz. It was very enjoyable. It was 3 questions each. Oh! Jorday has asked. Jorday, do you have another question? Sorry.
I have another one?
I thought you already asked 3. No, it was Tekky who started, so you do actually have another question. The drama continues, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
Okay. So
people are really going to think I didn't want you to win, Jorday.
Stop the stream.
Wait, we've had all the Trackmania questions, right? Softy question, Kacky question,
and Cup of the Day question, yeah.
And Cup of the Day. Okay,
so it's all down to your French food knowledge.
It's got to be the 2-pointer, right? I got to go for the dub.
Are you going for the W?
263.
263. Now, Are you a morning person, Jorday?
I am. I think I am a morning person.
Do you like your breakfast?
I like a banana in the morning, but not really actual breakfast.
Okay. So if that banana was French, and you
no.
had to give me the word for breakfast in French, what would it be? Would it be A, would it be petit soir? Would it be B, petit poussé? Would it be C, petit matin? Or would it be D, petit déjeuner?
Oh, mate.
This is to win it all. You went for that 2-pointer to get the win.
Well, none of those look like the word breakfast, do they? That's a bit unfortunate. I thought it'd be breakfast with some funky letters in it or something. God damn.
Considering breakfast is 2 English words put together.
It is. Oh man. Can you say them all again?
Just for your listening pleasure, I will.
Yeah. I love the accent.
Is it A, petit soir? Is it B, petit poussé? Is it C, petit matin? Or is it D, petit déjeuner?
I like the sound of C. Petit matin. You made it sound a lot better than I did, but
Is that your final answer?
I think it's going to have to be. The more I contemplate this, it's going nowhere. So I think we go with C.
I kind of like the tension that we've got in the air. I feel like there's a lot riding on this. And unfortunately, that's the incorrect answer, Jorday.
No.
It is not petit matin, which means that we can confirm Tekky's win, but I still will give you the opportunity to steal the 2 points if you want to make this win a confident win.
Okay, so I think B doesn't sound like it.
Mm-hmm.
A seems like it's too short to sound like breakfast. So it's probably D, as it looks like the most complicated one, so I'd go with D.
I tell you what, he's right on point today. Petit déjeuner, answer D, is the correct answer.
Oh, I'm French.
He's on fire.
I am
is French. It's no longer Tekky, it's Tekky. Le Tekky. And that's a confident win, as I said.
Yeah, I googled it.
Wait, what was A, B, and C? What do they mean?
Petit soir. Well, it doesn't really mean anything since I just made these up.
What? You made up French-sounding words, and
I would never do that. Yeah, petit soir means little evening.
Okay.
And petit poussé, I believe, is from a children's story that I read as a child about a small king, I believe.
Ah.
There we are. So that is going to conclude the quiz for the second time, I guess, with another win for Tekky, 6-3. It's been very enjoyable. Let's get back to the chatting.
Wow.
I love that segment. I love how our guests just never expect it and they're just thrown in at the deep end.
I genuinely didn't expect another French-related quiz. We were in call before this, and they were making the quiz, Babz and Pricey, and they were very good at hiding what it was about because I really was clueless.
We were giggling like children.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're very lucky because it was either French food or competitive arm wrestling. And we decided.
Wait, we never got that.
That we decided to go with the French food. I guess luckily for you because you seem to be quite knowledgeable on the subject. But something else you're quite knowledgeable about, and is the second half of this episode. We wanted to talk about Kacky Reloaded. It's sort of the topic that we can't get away from, considering what's currently going on in the TM world. And you're currently leading at the time of this podcast with, is it still 45 finishes? There hasn't been any since we started, is it?
No, I haven't played, I promise.
Okay. So yeah. Currently, Kacky Reloaded 4, you're currently leading on 45 finishes. Actually, I might just check the current standings to see who is second behind you. It's Nonic who's on 43 now, only 2 behind. But yeah, really, it feels like you've got some sort of love affair with Kacky Reloaded. It's really been, I can't say something that's been favorable for you, considering the amount of effort you actually have to put in to get these sorts of results. But you've performed really, really well in the previous events and the current one.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how it all started. My first experience was back in 2017 when Kacky 1 started. I joined the server. I see, okay, maps are too hard. I left. Left all the way back to Kacky 4 when I saw it started to pick up some audience on Twitch. And yeah, I was just grinding that till I could. If I had time, I was going for it. But again, I think up until Kacky Reloaded 1 started, I was just mostly vibing, not really going all in. On Kacky Reloaded 1, that's where also it became more popular, more people joined. Well, prizes started to get into the event. And yeah, seems like it does work. Twitch streaming does help with that. I get a lot of support, lots of motivation to just continue suffering. It's just honestly offline. When I'm with nobody, I just lose my mind. When I'm with someone, it's fun. So shout out to my Discord and viewers.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost necessary when you're doing something of that sort of nature to have an alternative distraction, you know, that you're not always thinking of your car on the screen, because I feel like if you were, a lot of people would say you'd go mad. But yeah, do you have any other like special little tricks or things to like keep you going and keep hunting a map? Because I saw on your stream that you do also do like half maps to practice sections and things like that. Is there any little tips and tricks that you've got?
Well, I do get a lot of help. I mostly force mappers to spill the beans, tell me what do we do on the maps.
So bribery. That's your tips.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Take notes, stream. Take notes.
But this Kacky has been incredibly difficult so far. There's a lot of hard to learn transitions. There's a lot of, as you've seen, editor practice needed.
Yeah.
And like we are on like what, day 12? There's still like 15, 20 maps that haven't been finished. Nobody still has a clue on some maps what to even do. And we're just going in the editor, trying to figure something out. And I even have a friend who helps me around the maps, looking for tricks when I play.
Do you prefer like not knowing the intended method, or would you prefer it that it was revealed how it's completed to everyone, and you know they're left to do the trick?
Well, in the first week I'm fine with it, but then it gets a bit of a despair, let's say.
Yeah.
Like at this point you have nothing to play and you just want something. Like you want to learn something. You have no idea what's happening on the maps, and there's no progress. So unfortunately, it's up to mapper's choice if they want to reveal the trick or not.
Yeah,
so it can be even after the event.
Because a lot of people have been saying, and you kind of hinted towards it, that this edition's maps have been not really a step up, but you feel there's a difference about them. Maybe they're more difficult or something. Have you noticed that by playing them?
Oh, sorry. Absolutely. Like the transitions and everything is really, really precise. Luckily for the beginners, there's still a couple of maps left that everyone can finish. But other than that, I think nobody's gonna even step into red-black servers. So that's where like, we are gonna start hang around, like us with 50+ finishes. And yeah, I think soon enough, in like a week or so, the despair phase is gonna kick in. You have nobody to hang around the servers. And yeah, just to me, it's also fun when you see others suffer. So you don't feel alone suffering.
And then it becomes a lone journey.
Yeah,
just learn everything by yourself.
I wonder how many maps are going to be unfinished by the end. But yeah, how many were they all finished on the last Kacky Reloaded by the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because an interesting stat about that, and you know, Tekky was probably going to say it himself, but Tekky is the only person to have finished every Kacky Reloaded map.
Really? Wow. Holy
From
shit.
Kacky Reloaded 1 right through to Kacky Reloaded 3 and currently leading Kacky Reloaded 4. Are you going to be able to keep that that momentum going and get all 75 finishes and Kacky Reloaded 4?
Honestly, with how it's going currently, I don't think so. There's some maps that are just incredibly difficult, and there's a lot of just maps where sure you can pass the start of the map, but the ending of the map is the even bigger problem. And one of them, the infamous Greece flag, has returned. I don't even want to touch that map, honestly. It's a bit too much.
Yeah, often when on your stream, when you load up a new map, and the first thing you say is, I don't actually want to play this. Which is, it's impressive that you still get that motivation to go past that and still try and finish them. And obviously, recent performances looking back in Reloaded 1, you got 3rd place. You said that was the first time you properly grinded. And then you built on that in the 2nd edition where you got 2nd place. Obviously, last edition you got 1st place. I don't think there's anywhere else to go but maintain that 1st position. Do you think that's going to be the goal, first of all, and is that going to be doable?
Going for place 0, yes.
Place 0.
Well, the current plan is just to finish as much as possible. If I cannot keep up the tempo, well, obviously, it's not going to be great, but I'll try to just keep up into top 5 at least.
I mean, you can blame it on us. We're taking an hour and a half of your time. You can say,
Oh,
if
no,
I had that time.
I missed one rotation.
I mean, feel free to play in the background, Tekky. I
No.
think it's quite a good achievement to
honestly,
get a victory on one of them during mid podcast. I think that'd be great.
This is a good break from Kacky. I like this.
Yeah, and like obviously you perform so well, and you see some similar names in those top 10s, but it's interesting to see that they do vary from edition to edition. Obviously, it's a month-long competition, so you have to commit some time to it. So I was wondering for you, do you make Kacky Reloaded sort of your main objective through the year, or is it something you underline at the start of the year, like, yeah, I really want to give my all during that, or does it just come by every time and you put in the same amount of effort?
I do plan on how is it gonna look like when the Kacky starts. I also do build a couple of maps for Kacky. But yeah, when it's time for it, if I have time to play Kacky, which currently, as you can see, I do. Yeah, I just go all in since I'm on holidays up until October, pretty much. So we are just gonna pretty much ruin sleep schedule, sadly. But once the finish count rises, it's gonna be like a lot more of just a waiting time for the maps. I think I'm gonna just get everything back, get my sleep back in normal copium.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just looking back at the last edition, Kacky Reloaded 3, that was your first win. And researching for this episode, I went through some of those old clips of you getting those last few finishes and everybody cheering you on to get that 75 out of 75, because you were the only one to actually doing it. And towards the end, how were you feeling approaching the sort of end of the competition and having to finish those last few maps?
Well, when I got that one Greece flag finish, that was already like a spike. Like something clicked in my head saying, "Oh my god, I actually have a proper chance to win something." And since then, I just continued going up until the last map, which was a Dragon Yeet. And first of all, I don't know how that guy is consistent at that trick, even though he found it. Second of all, I was really stressed out at that point when you finally get an attempt to finish the last map, and everyone else is just watching you.
Yeah,
it is honestly such a huge pressure. But once I got that last finish, it was also such a relief because I know others still have to do the hardest map, and I can just do whatever I want. I can hunt the maps, I can chill out, watch other streamers do whatever they're doing, and just enjoy my time at that point. No matter what happens, I did my goal.
Yeah, because watching that last clip of your 75th finish in the previous edition, you can hear the people in VC with you trying to keep you calm. You're lining up the last jump and saying, you got this, take your time. And in the background, you can faintly hear Virtual, I think, who is trying to spectate you. And you can hear his voice trying to look for you in the leaderboard and see. And like the pressure at that moment must be incredible.
It was huge. I'm usually the person who gets stressed out easily, so that was definitely something huge.
It was a very impressive feat considering you were the only person to finish all of the maps. But like looking at previous editions where multiple people, get all 75, you get that interesting sort of phase at the end of Kacky, like you said, where you have to hunt the maps because it's the best average time then that wins.
Yeah.
And that's a sort of very interesting sort of niche little caveat to the competition as a whole.
Yeah, it's just if you get 75, then there's the point where you just go all in. If there's multiple people, just go to the easiest map where you have the worst time on, hunt that map as long as you can, and just fight with others. Pretty much
That
how
makes
it
me
goes.
wonder. In this edition, isn't there like a Skittles map or whatever it is?
Oh yeah.
Now, if let's say you got to 75 with a few other people, that map could really screw the average time, couldn't it? 'Cause that one essentially is completely. Well, I know there's a trick for it now, but it is essentially quite random.
It does have a, as we call it, low input strat.
Yeah.
Now, I did finish that map in the Discovery. Unfortunately, that low input strat is like 15 seconds faster from my time.
Hmm.
And without that, it already puts me to like place, I don't know, like 1,000 almost. And that's already a big drop in the average. And there's a lot of other maps that also have some kind of shortcuts and cheeses and just being easy maps in general.
Yeah, it's crazy. I guess with how hard it is, we might not get to that 75 map limit. But when the competition does end, do you reckon you'll keep on hunting them to get that full 75?
I'm not sure. Maybe if I have some actual motivation, I'll do it. But usually I don't.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that do that. Like people hunt to get all the Kacky fishes no matter what. Like they spend hours and hours and days and months. So after the event, there's maybe currently around 10 people, I think. Not sure what's the exact number, but a lot of people now have all the Kacky finishes, not counting this edition.
Yeah, and the community, the Kacky community, is a really impressive one. Like, Kacky is like Marmite. It's like you either hate it or you love it, but the people who do love it really do love it. And it's inspiring to see because it keeps coming back, and even though it feels relatively niche, it keeps growing. From edition to edition. Like with Kacky Reloaded 4, it feels like there's an even bigger hype around the event, and you get some streamers and players, who are playing it who typically wouldn't have in the past. Have you felt like that's the case?
It's such a nice hype to have with that. I personally enjoy also watching other streamers do it. Like we even have a chess streamer who tried out Kacky and got 2 finishes. That's honestly so cool to see. Just Kacky reaching that point that makes completely like the complete beginners in the game try it out, and probably I don't know, even if they quit, they still try it out. It is such a fun hype event to have, even if it's one time a year. It's like Christmas, pretty much. Now, yeah, the hype probably dies quickly for some streamers, but still, there's still a lot to go through in this month. And it's just a fun adventure to me.
Yeah, because Kacky on Twitch as well is same. It divides opinions, and even though for you your popularity will grow during the event, obviously down to your performance and your past successes. But for a lot of streamers who actually commit to playing it, you see a gradual decrease in their actual viewership. I think just because a lot of people are of the opinion that watching somebody attempt the same map and fail over and over isn't actually that fun, which is understandable, but it's an interesting sort of balance between the people who gain from it and those who might not. But I think as a whole, the Kacky community and the events that they put on are always really a big success. One thing that struck me notably is as an event organizer myself, it's always very difficult to get a substantial prize pool for whatever event you're doing. But I think Kacky, especially this one, I think it's what is it, €4,000 in total?
It started as 4K, but it even got increased to 5K.
And do you know if that is like from crowdfunding? Is that sponsorships, or what does that come from?
It's all from people's donations. It's just they have a page.
Donations. Damn.
Yeah, there's donations. They also have their own Patreon you can support, and then they use it for either servers or just the prize pools. And it's
dedicated community.
Going from Kacky 1 all the way to this, you would never think that an event like that would grow so much.
Yeah, it's insane to hear those numbers, especially if it's all from crowdfunding. I guess between the bribery and crowdfunding, there's a lot of money in Kacky. That is for sure. But it's really an event sort of like no other. Well, I was going to compare it then to Deep Dip after saying like no other, but it has that same sort of feel, and it kind of extends past the limits of the game itself. Like you were saying, you have some chess streamers or somebody who hasn't played the game before who wants to try it out, which is really cool to see. And it's only growing like year on year, like you said, right?
Yeah, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I always think about it and relate it to when watching it. It can be appreciated by casual viewers that don't really know Trackmania because they know what the goal is, right? It's pretty simple to understand. Do a trick, reach the finish, and it always makes me think of. We've all obviously played Pokemon, and there's a lot of people that do like shiny hunting in Pokemon, and so they put in the hours and that grind just for that one shiny in Pokemon, and when they eventually get it, the relief and the joy when you actually do get what you want is out of this world. I imagine it's a similar case with Kacky. When people watch that, they're kind of just waiting for that one moment, waiting for them to get that one trick and eventually reach the finish. And it's both the viewer and the player. It's quite a relief, but a great moment.
Yeah, it's pretty much just there's a lot of excitement just waiting for that one finish, and then the chat just going, "Oh my god, GG, GG," and then it's back to normal. When's the next finish? And then GG, GG. When's the next finish?
Yeah, that 10-second high, and then it's like, oh wait, there's like 74 of these maps.
Yeah, and I mean, Kacky has been one of the landmarks of your playing career in Trackmania, and hopefully it will continue that way. I know myself, hopefully the rest of the BITM community will be encouraging you to hopefully get those 75 out of 75, and if not, at least winning the competition. Yeah, but outside of Kacky, it's good to know that like you are a very good player, like in your own right, and a lot of people forget this. Like you see a lot of players like Hefest, who come around for events like Kacky, and you don't see them in other aspects of the game. But you are a very good player in your own right.
I tend to get Div 1 every now and then. Whenever I have the motivation to actually play a couple of days.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of that aspect of cutting maps. You've mentioned it throughout, I guess, the episode, and that's something I wanted to dive into real quick because, like, having the intention of cutting maps, I think is probably not everybody's first sort of go-to, I guess, when they load up a new map. But how does it come around for you that you load up a map, whether it be Track of the Day or anything else, and you think, how can I do this better than the mapper wants me to do?
Obviously, people dislike when their map or just a map somebody spends a lot of time hunting gets cut. But yeah, the main way to do that is open a map, look for the amount of checkpoints, and then see if there's any gaps, any alternative route that you can get one checkpoint and then come back to the other checkpoint later. Some sort of draw your own route in a way that it works. Now, I had a lot of mappers even just contacting me saying, yo, can you test this? Check if there's no cuts, and I gladly take suggestions. But yeah, we'll see.
It's kind of like you're either a mapper's worst enemy, or you're a mapper's best friend.
Yeah,
depending on when they interact with you, whether it's before they release the map or after. But you've had a good few sort of Track of the Day world records thanks to these cuts, and often when people see your name at the top of the leaderboard, they're thinking, oh, This map has been cut.
Yeah, I did prove them wrong a couple of times, having actually just normal record, no cuts.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it is that just ruin someone's map.
I say as a mapper, and Gilo would say the same. If you put so much effort into a map, and when it gets cut, it's like, oh man, all this time and effort and work
And
ruined.
something simple.
But you're right. I think a lot of the time, as you said, as you described how you find cuts, I think it's something a lot of mappers just don't even look at when they finish their map. I think when it comes to ending their map, they kind of maybe not rush it, but they just get a bit lazy with it, and they want to get it out to the public, and so they don't really put much time and attention into seeing how a map could be cut, whether that's through scenery or a reroute or a cut, a straight up cut as it is. But yeah, I think the checkpoint placement alone is enough to cover stuff like that. A lot of people just leave 2 open gaps, as you said, and makes it easy world record for you to take.
Yeah, the way you explained it, I kind of had the mental image of the games you have on the back of cereal boxes where you have to get like from point A to point B and you have a maze and you need to get through it. I can imagine Tekky loading up the map, going Cam 7 above the map and just being like, where can I go through here? But we do have a question from chat from LD who wanted to know, what is your favorite map that you've ever cut?
Oh god, I don't know exactly from Trackmania 20, but I know there's one TMNF LOL map that just everyone was doing it proper way. I tried to experiment with something else. That was just a bunch of random bounces for 17 seconds. And I don't know, it was also during the clan war. We had clan wars back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I did spend quite a lot of time to get a really, really hard cut just to say like 0.1 of a second. It was worth at the end, I think. There even is a YouTube video of that cut. I don't know if I can find it. I can send it to you, LD, if you want.
You know what that weirdly reminded me of? Were you part of when Hokulicious got cut?
Oh, right.
Oh man, that just made me think of that for some reason. Like how controversial that was with that being cut, because it's such a historic map for tech. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think it's almost good for the map that it got cut? Like there's a new way to approach the map, or were you in the opinion that it should have been left the way it is?
Well, obviously, like it's still cool to see what people can find years and years later.
Yeah.
I personally tried to cut the map myself, and even though it's cool and all, it's still sad that such an iconic classic map is probably gonna be left behind now. Nobody's really gonna go and play the map normally just because that new cut is found. Just the history of that map is probably gone. It ended since the cut was found.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. It is cool to see. That's the thing, but maybe there's like a way of separating the leaderboards out to, non-cut and cut version. But as you're right, I think maybe it has demotivated people to actually hunt the map itself. But I think in a way it's good. Like years and years have gone by, and this reroute has been found, and I don't know, it's a new era of Hokulicious, I guess.
Yeah, I think maybe like a lot of people, like in my opinion, I don't mind that it gets cut, because for me, like what happened on the map and the world records that were there will always remain, or go down in history. But the thing I didn't like was what Fastest Way Only did, about trying to they kept the cut secret for quite a while to get all the world records and kind of claim some of that glory, which kind of feels like it takes away from the history of the map and everything that surrounds it. But I mean, cutting is something that is going to be forever debated and will forever be controversial. But I think it's something that's really necessary in the game, and having people like Tekky is very much a part of the whole community.
We'll see how it will go in the future. As I said, I'm down to have requests about testing the maps for cuts. I've saved actually quite a lot of maps to be cut during Track of the Day, including Chroma's Purgatory 2.
Really?
Sadly.
Oh man, I'll definitely take you up on that. I'll be sending a lot of maps over to you in the following weeks to cut proof, I'm sure.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, you heard it here. For any mappers in the chat, you can send your maps to Tekky. Maybe not right now. He probably won't have the time to do that, unless you're taking a break from Kacky. But yeah, I don't know, Jorday, do you have any final questions for our guest?
No, I think we covered quite a lot there. I've learned a lot about Kacky in general. I'll be honest, it's a topic I didn't know a lot about at first. So it's interesting to hear from the perspective of the Kacky god himself, Tekky. So
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. Not only Kacky, but really the whole sort of LOL trial RPG, everything that you are into in the game is not necessarily niche, but it's not the conventional route that a lot of players sort of see. So yeah, very cool to have a bit of an insight into that world. So thank you very much for coming on, Tekky.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out in chat. Hello, community.
Yeah, very, very enjoyable. Another good episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to all of the viewers, everybody in chat for being around. As always, we'll be back next week. It'll likely be a BIPL themed episode, considering it's going to be the last play day next Thursday. So stick around for that. Take a look at our socials to keep all of that in mind. Tekky, do you have any things you want to shout out before we leave?
Guys, I'm gonna play Kacky now.
there we go.
I wouldn't have expected any less. Jorday, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Babz.
All right. And on that note, we will be back next week with more Cup of the Day podcast. Thank you, everyone, for being here.